this is an interesting one.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
So as you can hear, I'm still kind of getting over a cold, but that's not going to stop me from this video. I want to talk about Kenny Lofton because honestly, he's one of the most intriguing prospects that I've seen thus far. So let's go ahead and go into him, and starting off, where is he going to land in the draft? That's what a lot of people are asking. And right now he's projected, which on many different sites, he's projected to go undrafted. But with that being said, if you've been keeping up with him at all, you will see that in the combine, he might make a name for himself and he'll be able to get in here somewhere in the second round. So let's go ahead and talk about him. Let's start with the stats. So statistically, he is really, really good. Now, sure enough, I have to be honest and transparent here. He played for a smaller school. Okay, so the competition wasn't as high as somewhere like if you played at UCLA or Kansas or somewhere like that. So the competition wasn't crazy, but overall he did well and he thrived in that position. And there's one thing in particular that I'm going to bring up that really showed how good he really is. But as you can see here, points, 16.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 54% field goal percentage. And if you look here, there's not a lot or a ton to see here other than one thing that does stand out, and that's the turnovers. He has to really work on those turnovers. And I understand that at his school, he was kind of the primary go-to. He was the guy that they looked to make things happen. And most nights he made them happen. But at the same time, you know, once you go to an NBA level, you can't give up 7 turnovers. Okay, you can't give up 5 turnovers. Sure, his usage rate is going to be way below what it was in college, but at the same time, that's not something that you necessarily want to deal with. Now, I don't really want to talk about this because he is obviously a draft prospect, and draft prospects should thrive in smaller schools. But this is what I want to talk about in particular. The fact that he won a gold medal with guys like Johnny Davis, with guys like Chet Holmgren, and with guys like Jaden Ivey. Now, with that being said, I want to just point out that he might have been the best player on the court at times. At the very least, he was the team's secret weapon. Now, as you can see, he is a pretty small forward. Now, I don't mean small as in size wise, but I mean small as in height. He's 6'7", but he's weighing about 275 pounds. He might have lost some if you watched him in the combine at all. He looks a little bit lighter than what we've seen before, but overall, yes, he's a pretty big boy. But even with that hanging on him, I will say that he did better than any other USA player. Now, maybe not in every statistical category, but the one that's really important, the one that we all look at, which is points per game. So as you can see here, in the entire tournament, he was top 20, and that's amongst everybody. And then as far as USA players, he was the top. As you can see, he averaged 13 points per game. And then Jaden Ivey, who's going to be a surefire lottery pick, averaged 12.3. And then shortly under that, you can see Chet Holmgren at the 25th spot that averaged 11.9. Now, obviously, big picture speaking, these players that's in the top 20, top 21 aren't better than Jaden Ivey and aren't better than obviously Chet Holmgren. But I do think that you need to at least look at the USA team and recognize that he was their go-to. Oftentimes he was the one that kind of made things happen, and he was by far a bulldozer, which is pretty ironic since he played for the Bulldogs. But with that being said, I just want to say his game overall is really nice. He has a certain amount of pace to him. He's a good rebounder. He uses his body and utilizes it in a really nice way, and he's very skilled around the basket. Now, with that being said, I think it is something that we need to point out, and it's the fact that his three-point percentage. Now, he doesn't take threes, and I'm just going to be honest with you, with his size, that is going to be something that he's going to have to add to his game. Obviously, he's going to have to shed a little bit, but overall, you're going to have to add some shooting to your game because it's really hard for him to guard faster players. And with him being a forward going into the NBA, they're going to ask you to guard some really quick forwards. I mean, the teams in the NBA nowadays are full, and I mean full of wing players and guards that big men often have to cover at some point. We even see Rudy Gobert at times have to guard a Steph Curry sometimes. So it happens. And with him right now, as it stands, he can't necessarily do that. And that's something you got to work on. But I think that he is a very hard worker, and it's something that he'll eventually be able to do. But it's just a matter of shedding some pounds, and you're going to have to add a little bit more to your game, and preferably that 3-point shooting. Because when you have certain things that are physical that hold you back, then you have to make up for them skill wise. I mean, this works for any player, whether it be Nikola Jokic or Luka Doncic. These guys aren't the most athletic guys by any means, and oftentimes Jokic, oftentimes he's seen as kind of a slow player. People said that he couldn't be an MVP. He's not that great, but as time has shown, his skill level outweighs anything that's holding him back physically. So let's go ahead and move on to the thing that I want to talk about, which is the pros and cons. And once again, I just jump on here. I don't necessarily look at the pros and cons. I just kind of give my reaction to it. So overall, as we can see, his height 6'7", weight 275 pounds. And I think it's probably a little bit less than that now. Projected to be second round to undrafted. And let's see, pros. Solid low post scorer, agree. Very good rebounder, adequate defender, has great strength, good motor. He has a great motor, I would say. Cons, must extend his shooting range. Yes. That's something he's going to have to work on, because this is something that's going to hold you back. No matter who you are, if you have certain things physically that's going to hold you back, then you have to add on that skill. I completely agree with that. Needs to improve his free throw shooting, sure. Needs to improve his playmaking skills. Maybe. I think it just kind of depends, maybe. But as we can see here, with the amount of times the ball was in his hands and all these turnovers, sure, I'm just going to take their word for it. One thing I didn't mention either, or actually I'm just now noticing, is he also fouls a lot, and I didn't see that before, but now I'm seeing it. All right, so let's move on. Struggles to guard quicker players, can be foul. Moving on. Not an elite athlete. Kenny Lofton is a strong, mobile big man that excels at scoring and rebounding in the paint. He had a solid freshman season, and he also played very well in 2021 U19 World Cup. He currently projects to be a second-round prospect in the 2022 draft. And honestly, I do believe that he'll make it on this in this draft somewhere. I don't think that it'll be high second round, but as he's been playing in the combine and what people have been saying about him, I think that he has a lot of promise, and I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being the case for him. So you guys let me know what you think. If you want to support the channel, I always say it's only $2 per month. Patreon and YouTube members, link in the description for that. I'm still getting over this cold, but I'm grinding it out. I'll get with you guys later. Till next time, deuces.